Alright, hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of games I bought recently. It's been a really long time, I know, almost 4 months since I last did my last games I bought recently episode, so I figured I better get this video out to you guys before I did any other videos. So let me get started here with my first pickup, which is Crossed Swords on the Neo Geo CD. This is a series I've been wanting to get into for a while. I actually have not played the first one, but it's a series on the Neo Geo. Crossed Swords 2 is actually exclusive to the Neo Geo CD, and it never came out on the AES. I decided to pass on the first one for now and go straight with the second, but because I was able to get it for a good price, and it's exclusive to the Neo Geo CD, which I just started picking up games for. The best way I can describe this is it's sort of not a first person, because you actually have a silhouette of your character on the screen, but think of it as an on-rails beat-em-up fighting game, where you have to, basically the whole game is just shifts from screen to screen to screen, and you have to do certain combos to, counter the enemies. So some enemies you might have to slash diagonally, horizontally, vertically, use certain magic attacks, and there's boss fights, and there's a lot of different, regular grunts that are really easy to kill. Overall, it's a really fun game. I was able to beat it in one sitting, actually on a live stream I did, because this version right here actually gives you unlimited continues if you so choose, and it's a pretty tough game later on, so I'm glad it let me have unlimited continues to see it all the way to its end. But it's a great, really fun game. Definitely worth the purchase. Alright, and next I'm moving on to a 3DS game that really kind of disappointed me. And that's Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor Overclocked on the 3DS. Now, I was really excited to play this because, first of all, it was the first true RPG to come out in the US here for the 3DS. And I never played the original DS version. This is a port of the DS version, and this is a tactical RPG from the Shin Megami Tensei series. And I've heard really great things about it. But what really disappointed me was I was so excited, an RPG coming through the 3DS, I'm going to be able to do, turn-based battles with the 3D, the monsters are going to be popping out and everything. And I was sorely disappointed to turn this game on. Had a really cool 3D intro, but then the gameplay, everything was taking place on the bottom screen of the 3DS, which is obviously the touchscreen and not in 3D. So when the first battle took place on the touchscreen, I was like, what? It wasn't in 3D. So I was so turned off by that fact that I really didn't get around to playing too much more of this, because I was so mad at the fact that I thought that the battles were going to be, in glorious 3D on the top screen, but yeah, I kind of learned my lesson on that one. They didn't really even advertise, now that I think about it, Atlas never said, hey, battles in 3D. They never said that. They sort of, not misled us, but hey, not quite what I thought it would be. Still supposed to be a really great game. They added a lot more content and voice acting, so maybe I'll get around to one day going back to this one. I feel like it. Okay, next on the DS, I told you guys I'd be picking this up, and I played it at PAX Prime, and I was really excited for it, and that's Aliens Infestation on the DS. This is not the 3DS. It's one of the last few, original DS games that's coming out that's probably going to be worth looking into. And this is a Metroidvania-style game in the fact that you have a map on the bottom screen, and there's certain areas that are blocked off before you get certain items. So in classic, Super Metroid fashion, you can't get through that door until you have that certain item that you have to find, which is hidden on the ship. Now, what's so great about this game is it really has an awesome atmosphere to it. This is a true Aliens game. Now, I'm not a super Alien fan. I love the films, but I'm not the kind of guy that knows all the lore and backstory behind all the characters and, who went here and who went there. But this is a really big fan service game for Aliens fans from what I've heard from other people that have played it. But what it has going for it is it has the whole radar detector, so you can hear and see the blips on the map screen when there's an alien in the area. And they jump out of vents, they jump from ceilings, rooms go pitch black. The sprite animation in this is great. So far, I'm about maybe an hour, hour and a half in, and there's giant, mother aliens and the face huggers and everything. It's got a really awesome atmosphere, and what's so really an aspect that I really like that some people probably won't is that it has one save file. The game auto-saves when you make it to each main new area, but when your Marines die, they're gone for good, and you cannot revive them or whatever. They're dead forever, and each character has, different backstory and different things they say in the game, so it's really interesting. It adds an extra sense of tension to the game, so when you do lose a Marine, yes, you can turn off your game and reload, but the checkpoints tend to be really far between, so you really sometimes don't want to have to reload again just because you lost a Marine. But really interesting. Definitely check it out if you're a fan of Aliens or Super Metroid or the 2D side-scrolling Castlevania-style games. Alright, next is PlayStation 1 RPG that I've been wanting to add to my collection for quite a long time, and I finally took the plunge after so many recommendations, and that is the original Grandia. I got it for a really good price on eBay because this was released on the PlayStation Network, so prices have been going down on it. I have not gotten a chance to play it yet because I told myself I'm not going to play any other, RPGs until I finish Lunar the Summerstar Harmony on the PSP. So I haven't gotten around to starting this yet because I don't want to juggle too many RPGs. It's probably going to have to wait until next year, though, because you guys know this year there's a lot of games coming out. But I'm really excited to finally dive into the original Grandia. Okay, next is an N64 game that I remember playing back at a friend's house a really long time ago on the N64, and that is a highly recommended platformer by many people, and that's Mischief Makers. I don't really have a lot of fond memories of playing it. I remember watching my friend play it, and he really loved it. But this is one game that I'm definitely looking forward to, diving back into and see what it's all about. This is a complete copy, and it's in pretty good condition, so a lot of people actually have asked me if I ever played this game, and, well, glad to have it in my collection again. Okay, and you guys know, if you watch my mystery unboxing video, that I did pick up a complete copy of Lucia on the Sega Genesis, and I just wanted to mention this one more time because I just wanted to say that this is, without a doubt, totally worth the purchase, and, how expensive this game is. I was wondering if it was going to be worth the money I spent on it, and you guys know I've really been getting into my, my 2D side-scrolling shooters and whatnot lately, and this game is probably one of the best ones. Well, it is the best shooter I've picked up since I've gotten into my shooter craze. Amazing game. The gameplay, it has a great gradual increase in difficulty, so it starts off, just challenging enough, but by the end of the game, I'm telling you, I haven't been able to beat it yet because it gets really, really hard. But what an amazing game. All the different bullet types, the ships that, your little prone ships, I'm not sure what the drones, I don't know what you call them, that you can kind of choose the direction of attack that you want them to shoot in. There's a lot of strategy to it. There's a lot of different ways you can play. And the music, of course, kicks ass. The sprite work in this is amazing. What an awesome game. If you have a Sega Genesis and you're a fan of shooters, I just had to recommend this to you guys one more time. Let you know that I really enjoyed it. Okay, next I picked up a Sega CD game that I've been wanting for a really long time, and that's Lords of Thunder. Man, first of all, the first thing that stands out to this game for me is the soundtrack is so awesome. When I first got this in the mail, I sat down, I beat it, and I played it right away again just to experience the soundtrack, and I also wanted to see how hard it was on the hardest difficulty because I played it on normal first time, a little easy, but the hardest difficulty is definitely the way to go with this game. It's got sort of a medieval fantasy vibe to it because a lot of the characters and levels and whatnot are themed around fantasy, high fantasy like dragons and knights and all that kind of stuff. But one of the other really cool aspects is that the power-ups, when you power up your weapons in this game, they are so awesome. That's one thing I love in a shooter, is just to have that, get the max power up on your weapons and just have it wipe this screen clear. And it has a lot of strategy because certain levels really benefit from using the right and correct weapon. And I didn't read any, facts or anything to find out what weapon I should use on what stage. The fun in it is finding out which one you should use on your own. So I highly recommend this game. Okay, next I just wanted to mention two games real fast that I haven't had a chance to play yet, but I'm looking forward to doing so. First is Earth Defense Force Insect Armageddon. I was a really big fan of the first one, so I'm interested to see how this one plays with the online co-op mode, because the first one kind of lacked that. It's just a really brainless, over-the-top third-person shooter with a lot of monsters and aliens that crowd the screen and city streets that you can destroy and level. It's really fun. And then also I picked up, some of you might be surprised, but this game looks pretty good, and supposedly it's a lot of fun. And that's Mystery Case Files: The Malgrave Incident. This is sort of like those classic I Spy books and whatnot. And I know this is a big hit on the PC, where it's a hidden object game, to simply put it that way. But I wanted to get it on the Wii instead of the PC because, I don't know, I wanted to use the Wii remote. I figured it would be pretty fun. But it has a story to it and whatnot, and it's not just static screens. It actually has an environment to explore. So it's not like just static screen, find this object, find that object. But I wanted to give it a try. I actually heard it was pretty decent. Okay, next is a game that I'm sure you all know I picked up because I did an unboxing video for the special edition. And that's Katherine. Boy, what can I say about Katherine? I don't want to spend too long on it because I can go on and on about this game. First, let me say what I love about Katherine. The story and the characters are so engrossing, and I just could not stop playing it. The first day I had this game, I had to see where the story went. I was so enthralled with, this over-the-top, like, love triangle story that's just insane. And it's really not as bad as some of you may think. But, based on how provocative the art book and, the cover of this game may seem, it's really not that bad. It's not that graphic at all. You really don't see anything, if you know what I mean. But what I didn't like about this game, towards the end, the puzzles, it's a block pulling game, so it's a puzzle game. 85, almost 90% of this game is spent in the puzzles, and the rest is the story, or interacting in the hub world, which is the bar, talking to characters. But what I ended up hating was that the puzzles got to be too hard. I'm sorry, but those of you that are great at the puzzles in this game, you know, all the power to you. But they start off easy enough, and they're fun. It's like, oh yeah, I solved that puzzle. But then every single level, they introduce a new mechanic that they kind of want you to learn, a new technique or a new hint. And it starts to pile up and pile up. And by the time you get to the end stages, especially stage 6-2, I think it is, it gets insanely difficult to the point where it's aggravating and I just want to see what happens in the story and I don't want to deal with these puzzles anymore. And it got to the point where I didn't like it anymore. I hated the puzzles. I dreaded the puzzles in this game, which is unfortunate because it got to the point where I'm at the end of the game. There's like 2 or 3 more stages to go. And I just can't finish it because the end levels, I can't stand it. I'm sorry. As much as I want to see where the story goes in this, the puzzles. Maybe I'll give it another chance, but it just started to wear on me a bit. Okay, next is a Wii import game that I got. It's a sequel to a DS RPG that I never picked up, and the name, unfortunately, it escapes me right now. But I'm sure some of you know what it is out there. I never played it. It was supposed to be okay. And that's Tact of Magic. I picked this up because you can actually play this online in versus mode, and you don't really have to know too much Japanese in order to play it. It's sort of a top-down RPG strategy action game is the best way to describe it. And you do your magic attacks by doing different directions on screen and different like signs with the Wii remote on the screen. It looked pretty fun and it was pretty cheap, so I'm like, hey, it's exclusive, never came out here in the US or the UK, I believe, so figured I'd pick it up. Right, next on the PlayStation 3, I got a copy of Trinity Universe, which is becoming quite rare. So when there was a buy 2 get 1 free sale going on, I was like, hey, let me pick this up while they have it in stock. This is a very traditional, grind-heavy, very heavily anime-influenced RPG that uses a lot of characters from the NIS and Gust universe, and all the different games from that, such as Disgaea and such, and the Atelier games. What really drew me to the game, though, was the funny writing and the funny characters and the scripts and whatnot. It's very well written, and it does make you chuckle every once in a while, because that's a good thing, because other than that, you're going to be in the dungeons for quite a long time, grinding and getting items and crafting and whatnot. Then, when you're not in the dungeons, some of the talking sequences in this game can go on for upwards of half an hour. So this is definitely not an RPG for everybody, but if you're really into the anime-style RPGs, or very grind-heavy turn-based games, this one might be one to check out.